Hello, this is Peter Rivera-Concannon submission for BrowserHistory3. Before I start, I want to state that I will be looking for a new way to record my screen and my work because this is obviously not very suitable considering that you can't see my browser at all or what I'm doing over there. But to get started, basically what I'm starting to do here is by I created divisions using the div class tag all over the index.html file to create selectors for the CSS file so we can customize and format specific parts of this file, the parts being each separate history or brief history of the three browsers, and we're trying to make them into three separate columns, so we need to make them have their own sections. So on the CSS file, we can edit them later on much easier. And I'm naming these left, right, and middle because, of course, they are going to be the left column, right column, and the middle column. And also, those will also be the selector tags once they're in the CSS file, but there are multiple other ways to differentiate which tag you want to use. Okay, and once I was over with that on my CSS file, I added some extra space for my images by changing the margin properties. As you can see, I'm doing that right now. And then right after, I use the dot left, dot right, and dot middle as the selectors for so I can format each of the three sections about the browser separately, especially to make the Internet Explorer one be the left, the Mozilla Firefox to be the right, and the Google one to be the middle column. I did this by changing the float and margin properties for each separate one, of course, to their respective side or width. And I also use the padding, of course, the padding property to help with formatting the document. Okay, with that done, I would say the next thing I did would be I would delete the index title above all my links, and then I replaced it with an ID division tag, which is, I use this one since this is the only index on the document, or is shown to be the only one on the document. And the other ones we used class IDs or class divisions because there were multiple of the same type of division, but we wanted to separate them. Let's see. So I added that in, and then after that I also added a UL tag, which is used for unordered lists. It's just so I can format the unordered list, the text in it on the page without changing the rest of the page's contents format as well. So it's basically just formatting the unordered list and only that. And of course, this is an unordered list, not a ordered list. That would be a different tag. And then back to my CSS file, I use the UL selector that I use for that tag on the index file. I use that selector to make the list style none and the margin padding to 0. This would make it have no more style, which gets rid of the bullet points. And then after that, once I'm done typing it, after that, I use the IL selector, which is the same thing as the LI tags, references to those, but for the CSS file. And I use those selectors to edit the content of the list so they would display in a line instead of stacked like a list usually does. So it would be horizontal instead of a vertical line. And finally, I use the ID selector, which has the hashtag index because the division ID is index. So referencing that one that way, use the hashtag instead of the period. The period is for class, the hashtag is for IDs, and the image one is something else. I forget, unfortunately. But on this one, I just added the margin. I made it a little bigger on both sides, just for the overall index, so it's more centered in the document. And of course, after this, I went and checked how it went on the browser. Everything looks to be all short and good, though. So my project time, I would say, is around 8 minutes and 20 seconds. And yeah, thank you very much.